You don't hear a roar, you hear something far worse. A slow, deep hiss rolls through the Australian bush, like air escaping from a giant furnace. Then comes another sound. A single, crushing footstep presses into dry leaves. Silence follows. Indigenous hunters have passed these trails for thousands of years, and they all know the same rule. If the wind suddenly carries the smell of rotting flesh, but no dead animal is anywhere in sight, don't stop to investigate. Run. That odor isn't coming from prey. It's coming from saliva, from a predator that has already seen you. Unlike wolves or big cats, it doesn't need to chase. It waits without moving, perfectly blending into the rocks, roots, and fallen branches. Every step you take could bring you within striking distance before your brain even realizes the danger exists. By the time you finally see it, you're already close enough for a single bite. And for this creature, one bite is all it has ever needed.
Imagine a place so vast that entire countries could disappear inside it. Australia's outback stretches across millions of square kilometers, where endless red sand, twisted shrubs, and scorching heat erase every sign of civilization. Hundreds of kilometers can pass without another human being. Far to the north lies something even more intimidating: the rainforests of Papua New Guinea. They are among the darkest and least explored jungles on Earth. Towering trees block sunlight, thick vines choke every path, and constant rain hides every sound. Even today, scientists admit there are isolated valleys where no modern expedition has successfully carried out long-term research because of deadly terrain, disease, and extreme isolation. These are the blind spots on the map, places where satellites see only an endless green canopy. If a predator the size of a bus wanted to disappear, this is exactly where it would choose to live. Nature doesn't reveal every secret.
Sometimes it simply hides them so well that we mistake ignorance for certainty. Long before maps, satellites, or biology textbooks existed, Australia's Aboriginal peoples passed down stories that were never meant to entertain. They were survival lessons. During the Dreamtime, elders spoke of a terrifying creature called the Whowie, a gigantic lizard with legs as thick as tree trunks, a tail powerful enough to knock down a grown man, and jaws capable of swallowing a human whole. What makes these stories unusual is their precision. The Whowie was never described as endlessly chasing its victims. Instead, it waited. It hid beside waterholes where thirsty animals gathered, remaining perfectly still until the final moment. Then it exploded forward with shocking speed. Many modern listeners dismiss these accounts as myths, but the Aboriginal traditions preserved detailed knowledge of Australia's wildlife for tens of thousands of years. Their stories often described real dangers long before science gave them names. So the question isn't whether they believed the Whowie existed. The real question is why generations separated by thousands of years kept describing the exact same predator. During the Second World War, thousands of American and Australian soldiers disappeared into the jungles of Papua New Guinea. Many never returned. Those who did often spoke about horrors that had nothing to do with enemy forces. Pilots whose aircraft crashed deep in the rainforest described seeing enormous lizards moving through the undergrowth. They weren't slow like crocodiles. They ran across dry land with startling speed, disappearing between massive trees before anyone could react. Some estimated the animals were as long as military trucks. Others claimed they watched them drag away large mammals with astonishing strength. These statements appeared in interviews, field notes, and personal recollections, but military commanders rarely took them seriously. Exhaustion, malaria, tropical fever, and combat stress offered easy explanations. After all, frightened soldiers were expected to imagine monsters. Yet these witnesses had been trained to observe terrain, distances, and movement under extreme pressure. If anyone could separate fantasy from reality, it should have been them. So, why did so many independent accounts describe the same impossible reptile? The most disturbing part of this mystery is that science already knows such a creature once existed. Its name was Megalania, or Venomous priscus, the largest land lizard ever discovered. It may have reached nearly 8 meters in length and weighed close to a ton. fossils prove it walked across Australia thousands of years ago. Even more frightening, many scientists believe it possessed venom glands similar to those of today's Komodo dragon.
A single bite could trigger massive blood loss, shock, and powerful toxins. Instead of chasing prey for miles, it simply followed until the victim collapsed. Suddenly, the ancient Aboriginal stories no longer sound impossible. They sound strangely familiar. Officially, Megalania disappeared around 50,000 years ago. But history offers an uncomfortable reminder. Until 1910, the outside world had no idea that the Komodo dragon, a 3-meter predator capable of killing buffalo, was real. Sailors spoke about giant land crocodiles, and scientists laughed. Then the evidence appeared, and the impossible became a biological fact. If a 3-meter reptile remained hidden from modern science until the 20th century, could a much larger relative survive in the unexplored jungles of New Guinea? It isn't proof, but it is a question that science cannot dismiss as easily as it once did. The mystery didn't end with fossils.
Even today, ranchers living along the edge of the Australian Outback occasionally report livestock deaths that don't match the usual pattern of dingo attacks. Entire cattle carcasses have been discovered with deep, widely spaced bite marks and flesh torn away in ways that some observers claim resemble the feeding behavior of giant monitor lizards rather than mammals. Crocodiles are quickly ruled out because many of these incidents occur far from permanent water. Over the years, investigators and cryptozoologists have also collected plaster casts of enormous claw prints. Some appear far larger than the tracks of the biggest known monitor lizards. None of these discoveries prove a giant reptile survives today. But each unexplained case adds another piece to a puzzle that refuses to disappear. The evidence is incomplete, yet the questions keep multiplying. Skeptics often ask the same question. If such a monster exists, why hasn't anyone found it with drones or satellites?
The answer may lie in reptile biology. Unlike mammals, giant monitor lizards are cold-blooded. They conserve energy by remaining motionless for hours or even days, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Hidden beneath dense vegetation, inside caves, or under fallen trees, they produce far less body heat than warm-blooded animals, making them much harder to detect with thermal cameras. Above them, rainforest canopies form a nearly solid green roof that blocks the view from the sky. In places where humans rarely set foot, a patient ambush predator doesn't need to hide forever. It only needs to remain invisible long enough for the next meal to come within reach. For thousands of years, isolation may have been the greatest protection these creatures ever had. But the world is changing faster than nature can adapt. Record-breaking wildfires have burned millions of hectares across Australia, turning forests into fields of ash. In Papua New Guinea, logging roads cut deeper into jungles that once seemed endless. Every lost forest means fewer places to hide and fewer wild animals to hunt. If a giant predator still survives, it cannot remain invisible forever. Hunger forces every hunter to take risks. A starving reptile wouldn't care whether its next meal is a kangaroo, a wild pig, or a cow grazing behind a fence. That may explain why some remote ranchers continue reporting bizarre livestock attacks that don't match any known predator. As humans push farther into untouched wilderness, something else may be moving in the opposite direction. The distance between civilization and whatever hides beyond it is becoming smaller every single year. The next encounter may not happen in a forgotten valley. It could happen just beyond the last fence at the edge of the outback. The sun sinks below the horizon, and the Australian bush falls strangely quiet. The wind that carried dust across the ground only seconds ago suddenly disappears. Even the insects stop making noise. Then, without warning, birds burst from the trees as if something unseen has entered the area. You stand still, listening. Nothing. Until the air changes. A heavy smell of old blood and rotting meat drifts toward you. Yet there is no carcass, no tracks, no obvious source. Every instinct tells you to look around, to find what caused it. But according to generations of Aboriginal warnings, that is exactly what you should never do.
Because by the time you notice the smell, the hunter has already noticed you. Maybe Megalania vanished 50,000 years ago. Maybe every story is only a legend. Or maybe some places on Earth are still wild enough to keep one final secret. And if you ever smell death where there should only be dry leaves and red sand, don't search for the monster. Walk away before it decides you are the next meal.